Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Sam Graves, and welcome to another episode of 1999 Was It Divine? This is the second take of this I'm having to do because my first take decided not to work because I didn't have enough space on my hard drive because I'm an idiot. Anyway, this is going to be unedited, and this is going to be episode 2 of my 99 series, Was It Divine? Today we are looking at ECW once again. Last time out, we looked at ECW Guilty as Charged, which I gave 6.5 out of 10. I enjoyed the show for what it was, but I thought the main event was rather crap. I gave it a dud. It was Taz versus Shane Douglas. It was a shite match. I gave it a dud because literally it was crowd brawling and loads and really, really overbooked with interference from everyone going, pretty much. So, high hopes for this one. And I'm glad to say that before this starts, that this show was a lot better. Well, this show was, quite a lot better. One bad match. So any of you that like me being negative, unfortunately, you won't be getting it from me in the show. It will be unedited as always, so if I make any fuck-ups, I don't bother editing them out because I can't be bothered. So, it is March the 21st, 1999, and we are live from the Asbury Park Convention Centre in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Of course, home to 3,900 fans. There you go, making mistakes already. And we are brought into the show by a promo from Taz. He's interviewed by the interviewer guy, Steve, what's his name? Can't remember the second name. Basically, Taz says tonight that he's going to break Sabu's jaw in the build-up between Guilty as Charged and here. Taz has dislocated Sabu's jaw, and basically Taz says he's better than everybody, better than Hogan, better than Flair, better than Mankind, better than Rock, better than Austin, and he can beat all of them. Yes, of course you can, Taz. In the real world, yes. In the wrestling world, probably not. In the slightest, for those, except maybe Mankind. So, in our opening contest, Tajiri lost to Super Crazy in a pretty damn good opener. This one, 3 3/4 stars. Tajiri made his debut at Guilty as Charged. He beat Super Crazy in the opening match at Guilty as Charged. I was about to say Supercharged. It's 3:20 in the morning. And that match I gave the 3.5 stars. This one's getting 3 3/4 from me. Great match, this one, between these two. Crazy one on ECW Hardcore TV. Tajiri won at Guilty as Charged. So we're having the rubber match here. During this match, Joey Styles mentions that this is the feud ender between the two. Not really a good thing to be mentioning, I'd say, when doing a promo, when doing commentary, or even mentioning this at all. These guys aren't particularly having a blood feud. These guys have been in exhibition matches against each other to show what they can do. So I wouldn't call it a feud. I'd say more good sportsmanship. Anyway, this is what you'd expect from these two. Good, gorgeous chain wrestling at the start, including a really nice spiked Rana by Crazy. That gets 2. Straight after this, Crazy gets thrown to the outside by Tajiri, and then Tajiri proceeds to hit one of the most beautiful moves I've ever seen. He hits a somersaulting senton over the ring post, and I marked out like a bandit for this, and rewound it 3 times to watch this move. After that, Tajiri hits a beautiful Asai moonsault off the apron. Sorry, no, he doesn't. Not the apron. He springboards off the ropes. Off the top rope, hits an Asai moonsault to the outside on Crazy. See, it's 3:20 in the morning. I'm making mistakes, but hey, I'm only human after all. After this, Crazy hits a really nice Hurricanrana on the apron. Head scissors takedown on the apron. Tajiri gets thrown back in the ring. They exchange more moves. The triple moonsault by Crazy gets 2. And then pin reversal sequence gets 2 for each man, and then end of the match comes. Super Crazy rolls Tajiri up with a sunset flip to get the win at about 11 minutes. 3 3/4 stars. Really good match between these two. But there was one significant thing that I liked this one over the first one, and that was the spot by Tajiri where he hit the somersault senton over the ring post, which I marked out like a bandit for. There was a noticeable botch by Crazy in this one, though. He attempted to go for a springboard moonsault and slipped on the ropes, but Tajiri went along with the crowd. He basically taunted Crazy and then hit a really nice German suplex with a bridge, which got two. Multiple false finishes, multiple attempts at covers, multiple reversals in this match. Gorgeous match between these two. It gets the same rating match terms, but it gets an extra quarter of a star because of that somersault sent on by Tajiri, and maybe I'm being a bit biased towards that, but I really enjoyed this match. So after this, there's a typical Fonzie promo in the back. He bigs up RVD, and RVD basically says that tonight he's going to beat Jerry Lynn, he's going to retain the ECW title, and that Sabu, regardless of what his state of his jaw, he will beat Taz for the ECW Championship. Of course, Sabu is the FTW champion going into the main event. The FTW title is not a recognised championship by ECW, but for some reason they're having a unification title match. I don't know why, but hey ho, I wasn't watching ECW Hardcore TV at the time, so I can't really verify what was going on with the FTW title. So, after this, Steve Corino is in the ring, and he's cutting his usual promo. I'm Mr. Anti-Hardcore. I want a match tonight. Why am I not in the pay-per-view? Yada, yada, yada. And this brings out the Hardcore Chest Swinging Freaks, which, of course, is Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten. Basically, Corino challenges Mahoney to a match. So, in our second match of the night, Balls Mahoney defeated Steve Corino in a fun squash match. 2 stars, this one. Quite a fun match, this one. Not very long, about 3 or 4 minutes. There's a nice frog splash by Balls. Corino gets thrown to the outside, gets taken out by a clothesline from Axel Rotten on the outside, which is quite good. Crowd is very amped up for this one. I quite enjoy this match. There's a lot of funny comedy in this match. Corino brings a chair into the ring. He basically goes to hit Balls with it. And then instead sits down on the chair and then proceeds to lot Balls in a chin lock, which I find hilarious. Straight after this, Balls counters, hits a low blow, and then grabs the chair that Corino had sat down on and smashes him in the face with it to get the win at about 3 or 4 minutes. 2 stars. Really fun squash match, this one. Wasn't much to it, but it was a lot of fun. And, just enjoyable match. So after this, we had a video package, which, again, bigging up the main event between Taz and Sabu, explaining what had gone on, the fact, bigging up both guys, what sort of moves they can do, mentioning that the first pay-per-view they main evented was ECW Barely Legal, that was the main event, yada yada yada. That's what I'll say about ECW. Their video packages highlighting feuds were as good as the WWF's, considering they were probably on about a quarter of the budget. But, really, really good video high packages for these for the matches tonight. So in our third match of the night, I'm sorry if I pronounce this guy's name wrong, but I'm just going to call his full name is something Del Morte. I don't know his actual name, and I can't be bothered to look at Wikipedia. He's not even got his own Wikipedia entry. So Little Guido defeated, I'm just going to call him Del Morte in a meh match. 2.5 star this one. I did originally give this 2.5 stars. I'm probably going to downgrade it to a 2 because, to be perfectly blunt, I did enjoy the Balls Mahoney Steve Corino match more than this one. There's not much to this match. Guido's accompanied by Sal. There's a nice dive to the outside by Del Morte. Really nice corkscrew crossbody. There's a good moonsault by Del Morte to the outside, but there's literally the highlights of the match. Ending comes when Guido basically bails to the outside. Sal's on the outside. Del Morte hits a crossbody, but there's a conveniently placed table on the outside. Sal catches Del Morte, hits the world's strongest slam on him through a table, throws him in the ring, and then allows Guido to lock on the Sicilian Crab. About a 5-minute match. Two and a quarter stars. Wasn't anything, I'm toying between 2 and 2.5, so I'll go in the middle and 2 and a quarter. Wasn't anything particularly good, but again, wasn't bad at all though. Okay match, just, nothing memorable. After the match, Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich come down to the ring. The FBI have been having dissension because the previous episode of Hardcore TV. the FBI had lost a tag match to the Hardcore Chair Swinging Freaks, and it caused basically Guido and Sal to beat down Tracy Smothers. Dissension in the FBI. Same thing happens here. Dissension again between them. Guido gets punched by Smothers. That causes Big Sal to come up to Guido to defend him. Smothers attempts to distract Sal. That allows Rich to grab the Italian flagpole, smack Sal over the back with it. Sal doesn't even sell it. He just basically chases the other two up the ramp. The other two run off up the ramp. So the feud between the FBI continues. I expect there to be a match between them at Hardcore Heaven, which will be the next pay-per-view in May. This one's airing in the middle to end of March. So after this, we get a promo highlighting the feud between the gangsters. So what's been happening, what's led to the feud between the gangsters. There's two video packages building this one up, which is good because there's quite a lot to the story. Explains basically what the Dudley Boys have been doing, how they took out Public Enemy, how they've basically been tearing apart the tag division, and what led to New Jack. Why New Jack was suddenly targeted, revealing that Mustafa had ordered a hit on him because he wanted to eliminate him from ECW. New Jack, of course, is pissed off with him, and these two are going to have a grudge match later in the night, which I, to be honest, wasn't looking forward to, but I was surprised at how good this match was. Like I said, I'm sorry about all the mistakes in this video, but hey ho, we're only human. So, but after this is where the show peaks. Lovely. It's like a Mount Everest, this next match, as RVD defeated Jerry Lynn in a phenomenal match to retain the ECW Television Championship. RVD, of course, comes out and he's got his horribly dubbed music, which is, utterly terrible. He doesn't got Walk by Pantera, which disappoints me, because WWE can't be bothered to pay for the license. Jerry Lynn, of course, that is out to a big reaction. Both men are out to huge reactions. Fonzie accompanies RVD. And this match, well, I would just suggest you go onto YouTube or go onto the network and watch this match, because this match is phenomenal. Some great spots in this one, including a good reversal sequence with a steel chair, which ends with RVD being fame-mastered onto a chair by Lynn. Basically, where both of them are fighting on the top rope, it ends up with RVD drop kicking Lynn to the outside, and he falls through a table. That looked nasty. RVD goes for Lynn goes for a tornado DDT off the top rope through a table on the outside, and it doesn't break. So RVD and Lynn go head and back first onto this table, and it's a really nasty bump, and the crowd is marking out like a bandit for this, including me as well. I'm marking out like mad for this. There's a sunset flip attempt by RVD, and Lynn, that gets a 2 count, and then basically Lynn goes for a sunset flip on RVD, gets a 2 count, and RVD then smashes him in the face with a chair while he's pinning RVD. That was amazing. There's also a really good feat of strength by RVD in this match. Basically, he's got Lynn locked in a surfboard stretch, an elevated one. There's a chair right next to them, and RVD, I don't know if he's got inhuman strength or something with this. He uses all his strength to put Lynn up as high as he goes, and then he basically releases Lynn. Lynn goes flying up into the air and lands back and head first on the chair. That was really nice. That got 2 as well. Fonzie interfered a couple of times in this match, helping RVD out by distracting Lynn. So, the difference maker, but it wasn't enough to get the job done. And after 20 minutes, referee John Finnegan rings the bell, and the crowd is chanting bullshit at this. I don't know what's going on until Joey Styles then says, "Oh, it's gone to a time limit draw." But then, for some inexplicable reason, Finnegan attempts to give the belt to Jerry Lynn, and I'm sitting at my TV screen going, "What on earth is going on?" But Jerry Lynn doesn't want to win the title that way. He asks 5 more minutes. RVD agrees to it. So, on we continue. A bit more back and forth between the two. basically, the difference maker in this match is Fonzie. He throws a chair into RVD. Lynn catches it, attempts to hit RVD with a chair. Van Damme 5-star frog splash. And RVD wins and retains the championship at 22 minutes and 48 seconds. 4 3/4 stars I'm giving this match. This was a phenomenal match. Everyone has been hyping up how good RVD versus Lynn has been. I've seen their match at Guilty as Charged 2001, and I'm downgrading that to a 3-star because that match was nowhere near as good as this one. That match, there was endless stalling by RVD in that match, and this match was a hell of a lot better, a lot more close near falls, but action was a much better paced. Both men had their working boots on. You know, Fonzie, you know, he didn't really distract from this match at all. You know, and you know, his spot helped this match. You know, because Fonzie was ultimately the difference maker in this match, and you know, he didn't actually interfere. He just assisted RVD by throwing him weapons into the ring, which I don't have a problem with. And I'm glad to give this match 4 3/4 stars. I would have given it 5 if it hadn't have been for the whole thing with the referee. But to ECW's credit, they did explain. They did interview Finnegan later in the night and he explained why he did what he did. But I don't still fully agree with his explanation. I'll get to that when that arrives. So after this, we get a hype package, which showing again another thing, the feud between New Jack and Mustafa. Basically going into, you know, the gangsters and how they were former tag champs. You know, this was really good, well edited by this storyline. This hype package was narrated by Heyman and Styles, and you know, did a really good job explaining what was going on. I think basically what I did say was earlier, the one I was getting confused with earlier, there was a package hyping the Dudley Boys up early in the night, so I think there's that package included as well, and there was 2 New Jack and Mustafa packages earlier in the night, so apologies if I've got them in the wrong order or I forgot explaining one of them earlier in the night. So, this leads to our next match, as New Jack defeated Mustafa Saeed in a surprisingly good match, and, you know, these two are basically hardcore wrestlers, aren't they? This match is just going to be what you'd expect from a hardcore match. Weapon shots, brawling in the crowd, maybe the occasional high spot. But surprisingly, this match gets a 3-star rating because of how entertaining it is. New Jack comes out first. No, Mustafa comes out first. No. Then New Jack comes out. He's got a massive garbage can full of weapons with him. But the one thing that does piss me off about the network with this is the fact that on the network, they keep playing New Jack's theme song in the ghetto over and over and over again. They did it on the Guilty as Charged pay-per-view, and they're still doing it here. WWE, no offence, but when you're watching a match, I don't think anybody needs to be particularly hearing a wrestler's entrance theme playing in the background throughout the entire match, because it distracts from what's going on in the ring. You can't hear what the crowd's chanting very well, and you can't hear Joey Styles' commentary very well either, and it is fucking irritating. So WWE, sort that out, please. Anyway, this match was entertaining as hell because these two beat the living shit out of each other. And for a grudge match, this was quite bloody and was entertaining as well. Early in the match, there's a keyboard which Jack hits Mustafa right in the face with. He hits him in the face with a keyboard. He hits him. He then hits him in the head with a cookie tray. Gets him up to a sitting position, and Jack pulls out a golf club of all things and whacks Mustafa directly in the balls with it. And I am laughing my head off at this. And yes, I know that it's an actual metal golf club. It's not a gimmicked one, it's an actual metal golf club, and he smacks him right in the bollocks with it, and I was laughing my head off at this. After this, Jack pulls a chair out, and Mustafa low blows him, hits him with a chair, and then he goes to the garbage can and pulls out a children's plastic lawnmower. So one of the ones that you probably see your 2-year-old toddler running around in the garden with. He then pulls out one of those children's plastic lawnmowers and proceeds to grind Jack's face in with it, and then smack him over the head with it. And I'm sitting here pissing myself at this. The fact that these two, these two been friends for the best part of 3 or 4 years, and they're former tag champs, and they're beating the living shit out of each other. And I'm marking out like a bandit for this. After this, he pulls out a stop sign. He hits Jack in the face with that. Mustafa gets 2 off that. Jack then makes a comeback by low blowing him and then smacking him in the face with a cookie tray. That gets 2. Jack then charges at Mustafa. Mustafa counters with a reverse elbow. Goes to the corner. Table gets set up in the corner. Mustafa drives Jack through that. That gets 2. After this, the brawl then proceeds to the outside, where Jack gets thrown onto the guardrail. Mustafa and Jack then brawl into the crowd. It's not, thankfully, 10 minutes of crowd brawling, which dragged on and on and on at Guilty as Charged. These two then proceed to an area, an open area towards the back of the arena. And Jack then takes control again. He low blows Mustafa and then hits him in the head with a cookie tray. Then there's a table placed up, and Jack sets up a table, puts Mustafa on it, wraps him in what Joey Styles describes as electrical tape, but I think it's just duct tape. And then Jack, the fucking insane nutter that he is, he proceeds to climb to the top of the balcony, which is 15-20 feet above Mustafa, and then proceeds to hit a frog splash off of said balcony, almost misses the table and goes feet first through it. So he botches this. Mustafa, basically, Jack goes almost feet first through it. He literally just manages to get into position before he kills himself. Splashes him and Mustafa through the table. This prompts then the ECW security to drag both men over the barricade and back into the ring, where New Jack can drape an arm over him and get the win at about 15 odd minutes. Now, I'm going to say this now. I forgot New Jack was busted open as well just before they went into the crowd. He got hit in the head with a chair. So, it's another typical New Jack match. But this one, I thought was quite entertaining. The bit with the golf club was hilarious. The child's lawnmower was hilarious. What else? Yeah, the child's lawnmower was hilarious. The table bump was and the splash on the table. It highlighted what I thought was quite a surprisingly good match. I really enjoyed this, for what it was. I'm not usually a typical fan of garbage wrestling or garbage brawling, and this isn't for everyone. But this match was quite fun. It was really entertaining, even though it was quite a violent mess. The match at Guilty as Charged that New Jack was involved in, was him and Spike Dudley versus the Dudley Boys, was nowhere near as good as this one, and I really enjoyed this. And speaking of the Dudley Boys, after the bell, the Dudley Boys come in and lay New Jack out and help Mustafa up. Joel Gertner then gets on the mic and he cuts his usual "I want to have sex with someone" promo, typical Joel Gertner promo. Bubba then gets on the mic. He basically says, "We've taken out the public enemy," issues another open challenge. And this challenge is answered by Spike Dudley and Nova. So in our next match, Spike Dudley and Nova defeated Bubba Ray and Devon in a shite match. 1 star this one, and that's all, and that's me being nice for this one. The Dudley Boys absolutely batter Spike and Nova at the start, including hitting a wass-up drop, 3D on Nova. Spike gets thrown into the crowd surfing. Nova gets beaten on for a bit. Spike comes back in the ring. He gets 3D'd again by the Dudleys. And then then Bubba gets on the mic. He then decides to say to anyone that's got the balls in the back to come and fight the Dudley Boys. This brings out JJ, Jeff Jones, the judge. He then proceeds to welcome Sid to the ring, and Sid comes in. The Dudley Boys call him a white country blonde-haired faggot, which Sid doesn't even doesn't even get offended by. And Sid then proceeds to hit a double chokeslam on the Dudleys, powerbomb to Devon, powerbomb to Bubba. Powerbomb to Devon, powerbomb to Bubba. Spike gets up. Bubba is basically trying to... Sorry, I got that wrong. Powerbomb to Devon, chokeslam to Bubba. Bubba gets back up. and then Spike Dudley low blows him, hits the acid drop to get the win. This match was crap. It really was crap. If it hadn't have been for Sid's involvement, and the bit with Sid, I probably would have given this a dud. It was a complete waste of time. Right, I get the Dudleys. The Dudleys are supposed to be the best tag team in ECW, but, no offense to the Dudley boys, but the whole thing of issuing open challenges is boring. It doesn't offer anything new, and it's just the same shit every pay-per-view. The Dudleys are a very talented tag team, Bubba Ray and Devon, but when it's the same crap over and over again, it gets boring really quickly. After this, Sid, because Sid's just Sid. He lays out Spike with a powerbomb after the bell, puts him through a table with a powerbomb. Yay! Sid was the only entertaining part of this match. Worst match of the night easily for me. wasn't worth, complete waste of time being on the pay-per-view. Give more time, put another match in here, put Masato Tanaka in here instead, or put another match, have a match between just anyone, just not have another fucking a complete 25 minutes waste of time with the Dudley boys. We could have had something better. We could have had Tracy Smothers versus Spike Dudley, or Little Guido versus Spike Dudley here. It would have been a lot better than what we got with those guys being involved in the pay-per-view. Or you could have put Bubba Ray and you could have put Roadkill and Danny Doring against the Dudley boys. Would have been a much better match than this, but whatever. So after this, we get a promo. We get a really good video package highlighting the fact that Shane Douglas, after losing the ECW title at Guilty as Charged, Shane Douglas basically wants to retire. This brings out Just Incredible and Lance Storm. They basically say, that because Douglas says he wants someone to be called the franchise of ECW. This brings out Storm and Credible. They basically say to Douglas, we're worthy of being called the franchise. Douglas then turns around and says the only person who's worthy of being called the franchise in ECW is Tommy Dreamer. This, of course, leads to Storm and Credible forming the Impact Players and beating the living shit out of Shane Douglas. And they try to beat up Francine before Tommy Dreamer makes the save. So this is leading to our match tonight. Now, from Guilty as Charged, which was last month, where Terry Funk interfered to help Just Incredible win the Stairway to Hell match, personally, I would have thought here it would have been Terry Funk and Just Incredible versus Tommy Dreamer and a partner of his choosing, or Tommy Dreamer versus Terry Funk, for that matter. But obviously it wasn't. So, in our semi-main event, Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas defeated the Impact Players, which is Shane Douglas, is Just Incredible and Lance Storm in a good tag team match. Yeah, this one, the story of this match was really good. 3.5 stars. This one, I really enjoyed this match. It was a bit slow at the start, but then it picked up. Dreamer placed face in peril. He gets battered for ages until he gets the hot tag to Douglas. Douglas cleans house. This allowed them to take advantage. A load of good double team moves between both guys here. Particularly good spot with there's a really, really nice neck snap from Douglas that I really like in this. Pittsburgh Plunge gets 2, DDT gets 2. Dawn Marie, of course, is out with Credible and Storm, and Francine is out with Shane Douglas. These two start fighting. Basically, Dawn Marie gets involved. She breaks up a pin attempt by Douglas on Credible. On Storm, but on Storm. That brings Francine into the ring. They has catfight. Joey Styles as usual. Crowd goes mental for this, and I'm sitting there loving this match. There's also a bit in the match where Douglas feigns turning on Dreamer, and Joey Styles goes, "Oh, not again!" And then basically Douglas turns around and clotheslines both of the heels. That's quite a good spot. End of the match comes when basically Douglas is about Just Incredible picks up a Singapore cane. He's about to smash Douglas's face in with it. Francine comes running down the apron because obviously she's got the better of Dawn Marie. Grabs the cane off Credible, and that allows Shane to hit the Pittsburgh plunge for the win at 18 minutes and 43 seconds. I really enjoyed this match. Much better from Douglas in this one. Much better booked this one than the match at fucking Guilty as Charged. Really enjoyable tag match, this one. After the match, Cyrus comes... this is one thing that I didn't like about the aftermath of this match. Cyrus comes down to the ring. He's accompanied by Jason and Jazz. He's accompanied by Jazz and Jason. Basically, the Impact players beat up Dreamer and Douglas, and they all corner Francine. Cyrus then basically, feigns helping Francine, and then he proceeds to hit a headbutt to her in her private area, in her lower private area. And, I get with ECW that, it's perfectly fine to do injury angles, with Beulah McGillicuddy being hit with a 3D, and, with, women taking finishers and all that lot, and all that stuff. But, I mean, this was going a little bit too far, I will be honest. I didn't like the whole thing with Francine after the bell. It's a bit too far. I know that Cyrus's gimmick is that he's supposed to, basically, he's called Cyrus the Virus, and that he basically tries to sexually transmit diseases. But come on, guys. I mean, seriously? Pushing a little bit too far. I'm glad they're not going with an incest angle, though. So, after this, we have another promo. We're in the backstage area where Stephen, what's his name, is with John Finnegan, the head referee. He basically asks him why did you award the belt to Lynn? And Finnegan, to his credit, gives an explanation. He goes, because, he doesn't want to bullshit the fans. He wants to declare a winner in this match. The referee's decision is final, but, I get that, but the fact is, you can't just award the belt to somebody because, they did better in a match. That's not the way a time limit draw works. If it's a draw, the champion is supposed to retain. Fair enough with Lynn. He said he doesn't want to win the title like that, and RVD was quite happy to give him another 5 minutes so they could have a decisive winner. That I do like about it, but that's why I knocked a quarter of the star of the match. After this, RVD comes down, explains to Finnegan, look, I want it, I'll give credit where credit's due. You did the right thing. If you'd have done that, if you'd have done what you did, there would have been a problem. RVD actually, acknowledging the fact that he could have been screwed out of the title, but, that Lynn didn't want to win it that way, so he brings up, look, Lynn's a good sport, blah, blah, blah. But then RVD does his usual shtick, he's a good athlete. He's not as good as me, but he's good. I'll give him that one. So he's that good, in fact. RVD challenges Lynn to a rematch at Hardcore Heaven, and I'm sitting here salivating. When RVD cuts this promo, and Fonzie then turns around and goes, "Are you sure?" And RVD goes, "I'm the whole effing show, of course I'm sure." And I'm sitting here marking out like a bandit for that. Oh dear, oh dear. This pay-per-view is really good up until this point. It had its weak moments with the two matches and show, but after Lynn and RVD, this is where the show picked up. For me, it's had its bad matches, but it's been but it's made a lot more positive than negative matches. And after this, we have a video package showing what's happened between Taz and Sabu. So, before Guilty as Charged, Sabu was supposed to face Shane Douglas. Shane basically goaded Taz into attacking Sabu because of basically faking that Sabu had said something about Taz. So Taz attacks Sabu, kayfabe breaking his neck. So Taz could face Shane Douglas at Guilty as Charged. Sabu interfered in the main event between Taz and Shane Douglas, taking out both men. Didn't have really any bearing on the finish because after this, Sonny interfered, Chris Candido interfered, Sabu interfered, and the match was a complete train wreck, and not in a good way either. But thankfully, the following match isn't. And after this, basically, then it's a promo. It shows how Taz broke Sabu's jaw by clotheslining him out of his boots. So, in our main event, Taz defeated Sabu in a pretty good Falls Count Anywhere match to retain the ECW Championship and unify it with the FTW title. Sabu's out first. And again, as I still question why the FTW title, which is not even a sanctioned championship, is being unified with the ECW World title, I don't know in this match. Fonzie accompanies Sabu, and before the match starts, Taz cuts a promo saying that all the fans have waited in the fucking rain for 3 hours, to watch this show, so let's make it a Falls Count Anywhere match. He says extreme death match, but if it was a death match, it would be last man standing. But he says he wants a Falls Count Anywhere match. Sabu, of course, being Sabu, he accepts. And off we go. This match is a lot better than the match at, than Taz's title win at Guilty as Charged. It's a 3.5 star match, this one. Really fun match between these ones. There's a lot of good spots in this one. It gets an extra 0.5 star from me. It would have been a 3 star, but it gets upgraded to... It would have been 3.25 star, but I'm going to give it 3 3/4, not 3.5, because of 2 particular moves in this match. So, the opening of the match sees basically Taz trying to beat up Sabu, trying to work his jaw over. Good chain wrestling at the start between the two, which I'm surprised Sabu can do. Sabu soon takes control. He hits Taz with a chair, proceeds to hit Air Sabu. That gets 2. Then throws Taz to the outside, attempts to Air Sabu over the top rope, and then Taz dodges out of the way, so Sabu goes jaw first onto the guardrail. After this, Taz throws him over the guardrail, and we start brawling in the crowd, but thankfully these guys only brawled for about 2 or 3 minutes, which I don't have a problem with. They brawl up to the ramp, where Taz throws Sabu over from the ramp into the crowd. And, I'm sitting here, really liking this match. Taz throws Sabu into the crowd, and the crowd helps Sabu get back over the guardrail. Taz then proceeds to... Sabu then proceeds to kick a chair into Taz's face. That gets 2. That pisses Taz off, so he throws Sabu into the crowd again. He then locks in a Taz mission on the ramp, and then as he's got his back turned with locking Sabu in the Taz mission, Fonzie grabs a chair and decides to smash Taz in the back with it. Taz no-sells this, calls him a piece of shit, and goes charging up the ramp. Fonzie being Fonzie, he runs away like a little girl. This allows Sabu to take control again. Sabu throws him back into the ring, and back we go. The table is set up on the outside. Sabu puts Taz on the apron, attempts to hit a sunset flip powerbomb through the table, and Sabu botches it like fuck. And the crowd is rightfully chanting at him, "You fucked up." And the crowd are booing this, and this is what knocked 0.5 star off this match for me. It would have been even better if Sabu hadn't have botched that powerbomb as bad as he did. They go back into the ring. Another table is set up on the outside by Sabu. After this, this time, Taz then proceeds to take control. Taz hits a low blow and then hits a belly-to-belly suplex over the top rope, which puts Taz through the table, which puts Sabu through the table, and then takes out a cameraman. I'm just laughing about this. After this, Taz goes back outside to attack Sabu with a chair. Sabu counters by hitting him by throwing the chair, by basically doing by drop kicking the chair into his face. Puts him onto the apron, and Sabu hits the Air Sabu, puts the chair in the ring, hits the Air Sabu over the top rope. Does a Air Sabu, which is basically a diving crossbody onto Taz on the guardrail. Basically puts Taz up against the guardrail, and that gets a 2 count. Taz and Sabu get back in the ring. Then hits the Arabian facebuster on the chair, that gets 2. That's basically the leg drop to the back of the head. Sabu then proceeds to attempt. Sabu then hits the Arabian moonsault, triple jump moonsault. That gets 2. After this, he attempts to go for another move on the chair. Taz counters this into this gets a quarter of a star from me. Taz then proceeds to hit 2 pump handle T-bone suplexes, which are making me mark out like a bandit for. After this, Taz sets up a table in the corner of the ring. He then proceeds to grab Sabu and hit a dragon suplex through the table, which gets another quarter of a star from me. That only gets 2. Sabu then attempts to go for a... Sabu then counters. He hits Taz in the head with a chair. That busts Taz open. Sabu then attempts to go for another Arabian facebuster, but Taz counters into a belly-to-belly suplex. After this, he proceeds basically to then beat the ever-loving tar out of Sabu. Fonzie tries to throw in the towel. Sabu basically refuses to give up. He throws the towel out of the ring, but that distraction allows Taz to lock in the Taz mission. Sabu can't, he's just got the Taz mission locked in. Tries the arm draping thing, gets up to 2. Sabu manages to get his hand up, but then Taz very wisely decides to then lock the Taz mission in again, but this time he does a body scissors on it as well, and that of course proceeds to lead to Sabu passing out at 22.5 minutes. This was a phenomenal match. This was, phenomenally. I am actually 3 3/4 this match. Really enjoyed this main event between Sabu and Taz. Would have liked it if we worked on the draw a bit more, but to be fair to these two, they had quite a brutal match. There was a lot of spots brought in with the jaw. Sabu being thrown onto the guardrail multiple times, Taz punching him multiple times, dragon suplex through the table, the pump handle T-bone, which landed, did an inverted, landed Sabu directly on his jaw. Sabu had his jaw taped up for this match as well. Just really enjoyable main event between these two. 3 3/4 stars. Would have been higher if it hadn't have been for that horrible botch by Sabu with the powerbomb through the table. That really was bad. So, in context, a really, really good show, this one. No duds on it. So, opening match 3 3/4, 2-star match between Balls Mahoney and Steve Corino. Really enjoyable squash match between those two. 2-star match between Del Morte and Guido. Would have rather seen Spike Dudley versus Guido or something like that. Really solid. Really, really, really good match between Jerry Lynn and RVD. 4 3/4. Really good match. Recommend going out your way to see that. The opener, the main event as well. And the tag match. A very meh match for the Dudley Boys, 1-star match. Sid's interference made it better. And then just a really solid main event between Sabu and Taz. Force Count Anywhere match. Really enjoyed it. And it's a really surprising good match between New Jack and Mustafa Saeed. So, I'm going to give this pay-per-view 9 out of 10. With basically a 3 3/4, 2 3 3/4, a 4 3/4, and a 3.5-star match. And a really entertaining squash with Balls Mahoney and Steve Corino. And a surprisingly good match between Mustafa and New Jack. I'm happy to give this pay-per-view 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this. The RVD and Lynn match was much better than their one at Guilty as Charged 2001. You know, they're having a rematch at Hardcore Heaven. I'm really looking forward to that. You know, they got given time, 22 minutes. Main event was roughly about the same length. The main event was entertaining as well. Taz looked a lot like a beast in this match. And you know, Taz and Sabu. You know, I'm glad with Sabu and Taz. You know, I'm quite happy to see Taz and Sabu in a rematch. Tommy Dreamer match was good. You know, I hope that Dreamer and who Dreamer's going to. Tommy Dreamer's quite underrated, I think, as a wrestler, and I think he's basically the heart and soul of ECW. With that moniker, they're not kidding when they say that. So yeah, much better performance from Shane Douglas as well tonight. You know, Credible and Storm were as good as they normally are. The bit with Cyrus I could do without, but you know, just is what it is. And Balls Mahoney and Steve Corino had a very entertaining squash match. The only crap match of the night was the Dudley Boys, and it's, you know, no discredit to Nova, Spike Dudley or Bubba Ray or Devon, but just the booking, you know, same old, every pay-per-view, open challenge. I mean, the only entertaining parts of the match, Sid's interference was great, and also I forgot they did 3D the ring announcer during that match, and that made me mark out as well. So that's probably why it gets propped up to a 1-star. And to be honest, Guido versus Del Morte, while nothing special, was still a decent match. I mean, I'm going to upgrade it to 2.5-star. I'll be interested to see where the dissension with the FBI goes from here on in. So I have been your saviour, Sam Graves. Thank you for listening to me waffle on for 45 minutes about a 21-year-old pay-per-view. My next show in 99 Was It Divine will be ECW Hardcore Heaven, which will be May 99. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Click the bell for more videos like this one. I've been your saviour, Sam Graves. I will be back in a couple of weeks' time for ECW Hardcore Heaven 99, which will be episode 3 of 99 Was It Divine. So thank you very much, guys. Please feel free to leave me a comment below and I'll get back to you as and when I can. Alright guys, thank you for listening and take care.